Welcome, welcome. We've got Kim Jong-il. This is a book that we've been reading. Let us bring the advantages of our people's government into fuller play. And of course, this is a letter to the participants of the National Lecture for the Course of People's Government Organizations from December 24th, 1992. And we were down here, we're on the second chapter of this work, which is titled On Further Enhancing the Function and Role of the People's Government. Now, to my chat, I ask that you please let me see those Kim Jong-il emotes to get us started, please. Everybody flood my screen with your favorite Kim Jong-il emotes. I have a ton of them. And I will read you the comrade himself. And we'll also raise our fists in the air and say, long live DPRK, long live the Korean Revolution. On further enhancing the function and role of the people's government. In order to press ahead with the cause of socialism, the function and role of the people's government should be enhanced in every way. Providing a unified leadership for society is the basic function of the people's power. It is a comprehensive function of grasping all the spheres of social life and reigns of the country, and of organizing and regulating their development. This function satisfies the masses' demand for independence on a society-wide scale and ensures their creative activities. The characteristics of the people's government's function of unified leadership is that it meets the basic demand of the popular masses by raising their position and role. This function should be consistently maintained so long as the people's government exists. It is an indispensable function that should be enhanced all the more along with the in-depth promotion of the construction of socialism and communism. A socialist government is the most comprehensive political organization involving all the members of society. There are other political organizations in a socialist society, such as political parties, which represent the interests of a social community. While these organizations represent the interests of a particular social community and motive of the members belonging to it, a socialist government is a socially comprehensive political organization which represents all the members of society and leads them. It is authorized not only to supervise and guide the people, but to administer the wealth of the society. A socialist government, which is empowered with all authority as a comprehensive political organization, performs the function of unified leadership of society. Unified leadership of society is an intrinsic demand. I'll repeat that. It's an intrinsic demand of socialist society. Socialist society is a society of collectivism in which all the members, united into a socio-political organism, live in harmony while helping and guiding one another. It is also a highly organized society, which transforms all areas of social life and regions of the country purposefully and consciously. The unity and relationship of cooperation between the members of society are not realized for their own accord, nor do all the areas of social life and regions of the country develop in a harmonized manner on their own. Even though it is a socialist society in which the state power and the means of production are in the hands of the masses of the people. The historical experience of socialist construction shows that, without proper guidance provided by the government, the unity of the members of society and its harmonious development cannot be realized. And neither can the masses' independent and creative activities be organized and conducted purposefully. In the long run, the socialist system itself cannot be maintained. The unified guidance of the socialist government should ensure balanced and harmonious development of all spheres of social life and regions of the country, and give full play to the initiative of each sphere and unit. Their balanced and harmonious development is a prerequisite for realizing the complete socio-political equality of all members of society, and developing their standard of living evenly and rapidly. Providing unified leadership for society does not contradict the ensuring of initiative of individual areas and units. The initiative of those areas and units is not displayed spontaneously in a socialist society. It can be brought into full play only in a purposeful and conscious way. Only when unified leadership is provided by the state. The imperialists and reactionaries slandering of the unified leadership by the socialist government as administrative and bureaucratic is sophistry, aimed at tarnishing the image of the socialist system and stamping out socialism. The negation of the socialist government's function of unified leadership is nothing other than opposition to socialism itself. The deviation known as administrative commandism appeared in some socialist countries in the past. Just because the ruling systems and methods of old societies had not been overcome in the field of administration of society, and the officials in government organizations, retaining the remnants of outdated ideas, did not properly exercise unified leadership of society. Talking about the USSR here. The point is how a socialist government should provide unified leadership of society. The people's government should bear the responsibility for the politics, the economy, culture, and all the other fields of social life and regions of the country, and provide unified guidance and administration. Government is the basic means of carrying out politics. It dominates political life. A people's government should provide the masses with the right of independence in a thoroughgoing way, so that they can become the genuine masters of the state and society. This means the right to safeguard and realize independence, the socio-political integrity of humanity. It is a genuine right, which combines in a proper way the common demand of the society and the demand of each member of the social community, and satisfies them. The popular masses should exercise this right in a substantial fashion to occupy the position of masters of the state and society, perform their responsibilities and roles as such, and add luster to their dignity and value as social beings. Granting them the right of independence is a fundamental condition for realizing their independence. Representing their right of independence, the people's government should pay primary attention to granting it to them so that they can enjoy a worthwhile political life, adding luster to their valuable socio-political integrity. The rights of citizens stipulated in the Socialist Constitution legalized our people's right of independence. The people's political power should create all the conditions for the people's exercise of this rights in a substantial way, as stipulated in the Constitution. It should gather in a timely fashion the masses' opinions and demands and satisfy them. It should also involve the broad masses in the administration of the state and in social and political activities. In this way, it should ensure that all the citizens participate in political life appropriately. It should see to it that the popular masses, through the political life of the state, enjoy democratic rights and freedom to their heart's content. Socialist economy is a planned economy, and a large-scale collective economy in which all sectors are organically linked. It should be guided and managed in a unified way. Moreover, the more it develops, the more the unified guidance should be intensified. The people's government should set the targets and direction of economic construction, on the basis of the party's lines and policies, and organize economic work to the minutest detail to expedite socialist economic construction. It should develop the socialist economy at a steady and rapid rate by applying the fundamentals and principles of the management of the socialist economy, and by putting into effect the Juche-oriented system and method of economic management. It should ensure a proper balance between accumulation and expenditure in socialist economic construction, manage distribution correctly according to the work done, and further developing welfare services for the people to improve their livelihood in a balanced manner in accordance with the essential nature of socialism. It should resolve the problems arising in economic work in a responsible way and direct all the efforts to improvement of people's livelihood, thus providing an abundant material life for them. In this way, it should perform its duties properly as the one responsible for the people's livelihood. And in this way, it gains, of course, the people's trust and makes the party invincible and the government invincible. This is exactly how the socialist society becomes strong. It's what makes socialist society powerful. That's what when Kim Jong-il is talking about building a powerful socialist country, that's what he means. Developing socialist ideology and culture is an important undertaking to improve the independent ideological consciousness and creative ability of the masses. The more their independent ideological consciousness and creative ability are developed, the deeper and wider their creative activities to transform nature and society will be. The people's government should organize and guide this undertaking in a purposeful, conscious, and systematic way. It should promote the ideological and cultural revolutions, to raise all the members of society to be developed and sturdy people who are equipped with independent ideological consciousness, high cultural attainments, and knowledge. It should bar imperialist and reactionary ideological and cultural infiltration, and imbue the masses of people firmly with the ideals of socialism. As socialist society regards the ideals of socialism as its lifeline, it will perish if the masses suffer from ideological and spiritual maladies. Socialism, won at the cost of blood, crumbled in several countries, helplessly, because their people had been affected by ideological and spiritual maladies. The people's government should carry out in a substantial manner ideological transformation and political work, at the same time as taking revolutionary measures for checking the infiltration of bourgeois ideological elements of all descriptions, which affect the masses' ideology and mentality. For example, makes them greedy, makes them apologetic for America, or perhaps makes them believe all of the good things that they see in American pro-America propaganda and disbelieve all of the ugly aspects of US imperialism and capitalism, which is basically what happened in USSR for a great number of people, especially in the intelligentsia. The building of defense capabilities is a very important undertaking to defend the country. The people, the socialist system, and the revolutionary gains against the aggression of the enemy. As the imperialists, the reactionaries, are raising an anti-socialist, anti-DPRK clamor and resorting to schemes to provoke a new war more viciously than ever before, the people's government should direct greater attention to the strengthening of the country's defense capabilities. As required by the party's military line, it should turn the entire army into an army of cadres, which means if their superiors die, the people below them could take their place. That's what cadres means in that context. Actually, that's always what cadre means. Even when you're talking about cadres of a party, it means that they're trained in such a way that if their superiors in the party, if the people who have more seniority to them were ever to disappear for whatever reason, the cadres could take their place. That's what a cadre is. So it should turn the entire army into an army of cadres. and modernize it from top to bottom, to turn it into an invincible revolutionary force armed with lofty political and ideological consciousness and up-to-date military science and technology. And now, I just also want to mention, we now know, right, firsthand, we have all seen firsthand the importance of a cadre army. And we see cadre armies in Hezbollah, and in Yemen, and in Iran, and in Palestine, right? These all practice that theory of cadre army, because it's known that the US will always want to try and assassinate higher ups or high priority targets, they'll call them. They always want to do that in an effort to disrupt this revolutionary movement. But if you have a sufficiently built up cadre army, then that prevents that, because they keep coming up from below to replace that leadership with the same mind, the same spirit, and the same goals. It should also put all the people under arms and fortify the whole country, to turn it into an impregnable fortress and make the whole people fully ready to frustrate the enemy's aggression. The entire people should be fully equipped with our party's view of war, and a social tenor of attaching importance to military affairs should be established throughout the society. In accordance with the features of modern warfare, the people's government should keep in reserve sufficient materials needed in wartime, build properly the important military strategic areas, and develop the munitions industry. Developing foreign relations is an important undertaking for the government of the Republic to expedite socialist construction and national reunification, strengthen the relations of friendship and cooperation with other countries, and realize global independence. Welcome in, Manapua. Everybody go follow Manapua Games. The government of the Republic should develop foreign relations so as to unite with the revolutionary people all over the world who uphold independence. Thus, it will make an active contribution to the effort for global independence. Independence, peace, and friendship are the basic ideals of the foreign policy of the government of the Republic, and the principles on which its external activities are based. The government of the Republic should establish and develop state, political, economic, and cultural relations with all the countries who are friendly to our country, on the principles of complete equality, independence, mutual respect, non-interference in each other's affairs, and mutual benefit. Under the party slogan, "Let the people the world over who uphold independence unite," the government of the Republic should channel every effort into strengthening, in every possible way, unity and solidarity with the people all over the world who aspire to independence. And the proof that they follow that policy and that principle is in the pudding. They have stood as a staunch ally and material supporter of the Palestine Liberation Forces forever. And of course, we see deep. Of course, I always point out that Palestine, of course, they have a Juche munitions industry in that they create their own munitions primarily, but we have seen DPRK arms and DPRK weapons being used by the resistance continuously throughout this, even in very recent footage. And it's not just Palestine, but all over they help resistance movements. The government of the Republic should safeguard, in unity with revolutionary people of the world, socialism from all maneuvers of the imperialists and reactionaries. It should unite with the people of the world who uphold independence and render active support to the efforts of people in all countries to achieve sovereignty and national and class emancipation. The main obstacle to defending the independence of the people the world over and safeguarding socialism is US imperialism and other imperialist reactionary forces. The government of the Republic should adhere firmly to the principled anti-imperialist stand and consolidate solidarity with all the anti-imperialist independent forces and frustrate the imperialist scheme of war and aggression, and expedite global independence. It should protect the independent national economy by developing foreign trade on the principle of complete equality and mutual benefit, and by having economic relations with other countries suited to the interests of our people, as required by the laws of the Republic. The people's democratic dictatorship is an important function of the people's government. The people's democratic dictatorship of our people's government is a popular dictatorship, which exercises genuine democracy among the masses of the people, and a revolutionary dictatorship based on the single-minded unity among the leader, the party, and the masses, and which strengthens that unity continuously. The socialist government, in which the masses are the masters of state power, strengthens the people's democratic dictatorship so as to defend the interests of the people from the maneuvers of hostile elements of all descriptions, and provide them with genuine political rights and freedom. The more the people's government intensifies the people's democratic dictatorship, the more satisfactorily the demands of the party, the revolution, and the people are met, and the more firmly the masses of the people are rallied behind the party and the leader. The essential characteristic and superiority of the people's democratic dictatorship are that it defends the interests of all the people, and makes the masses a powerful motive force of the revolution. The function of the people's democratic dictatorship is a power function of the people's government to smash all the counter-revolutionary schemes and elements destructive to socialism and that infringe on the masses' interests, and to provide democratic rights and freedom for the people. The government of the Republic should not regard the power function, the function of dictatorship, to be omnipotent in the administration of society and in the revolution and construction. But for all that, it should not neglect this function in the least. While intensifying the military, political, and economic pressure upon the socialist and other progressive countries, the imperialists and reactionaries have directed the spearhead of attack at our country, and are now resorting to all manner of wicked acts of subversion and sabotage, in order for our people's government to frustrate the anti-socialist maneuvers of the imperialists and reactionaries, and defend the interests and security of the masses. It must strengthen its function of dictatorship. The people's government should thoroughly suppress the acts of subversion and sabotage of the hostile elements. The building of socialism and communism is accompanied by a struggle to smash the imperialist schemes of aggression and maneuvers of internal hostile elements, who are in league with them. The more complicated the situation at home and abroad, and the more the revolution develops, the more wicked and wily the hostile elements' maneuvers against socialism become. The people's government should step up the democratic dictatorship to punish, without mercy, the remaining elements of the exploiter class who scheme to destroy and overthrow the socialist system, and the spies and subversive elements who infiltrate from outside. It should bring the broad masses to a high degree of class consciousness and enlist them in the struggle against the counter-revolutionaries, so that they can fetter all class enemies. The people's government should firmly defend the socialist system and revolutionary gains by improving the role of the dictatorial machinery and promptly suppressing the maneuvers of hostile elements. God damn, that gave me chills. The people's government should strengthen legal sanctions against those who, tainted with outdated ideas, violate legal order, so as to root out non-socialist practices. The most dangerous of non-socialist practices is delinquency, which causes unease in the minds of people and disturbs social order, and thus has a disturbing influence on the masses. If delinquency is allowed to grow gradually, it will put the socialist system in jeopardy. We should not underestimate it on the ground that there are only a handful of delinquents. We should nip them in the bud. The people's government should take revolutionary measures to eliminate delinquency and make sure that delinquents know the severity of the socialist law. We should never frighten the people, but strike terror into the delinquents. Since we are building socialism while encircled by capitalism, we cannot defend socialism if we fail to conduct a thoroughgoing struggle for eliminating delinquency. The people's government should also fight against misappropriation and squandering of the property of the state and society in violation of the law, and corruption and irregularities in connection with money and goods, such as commercial wrongdoings. In socialist society, there cannot and should not be those who cheat others, idle away their time without laboring, or enjoy special prosperity. The people's government should do away with all manner of corruption and irregularities, enable all the working people to live and work in conformities with the requirements of socialism, improve the people's standard of material and cultural life evenly, and protect it consistently. The dictatorship of the people's government over the forces and elements which infringe upon the interests of the masses is not a violation of human rights. It is a thoroughgoing defense of human rights. I'm going to say that again because that's fucking banger. The dictatorship of the people's government over the forces and elements which infringe upon the interests of the masses is not a violation of human rights. It is a thoroughgoing defense of human rights. Human rights are the sacred rights of social humanity, who is desirous of living and growing in an independent and creative way. The masses embody genuine human rights. By nature, the people's democratic dictatorship is a power function of the people's government to ensure democratic rights and liberty for the masses, as befits the masters of state and society. Those who violate human rights are the imperialists and reactionaries. They brutally suppress and persecute in an inhuman way people who demand freedom and democracy. They infringe even on their elementary right to existence. The imperialists and reactionaries slander under the signboard the defense of human rights. The exercising of power by the socialist government over hostile elements is a violation of human rights. This is a nonsensical clamor. Our people's government is a revolutionary weapon for safeguarding the independence of the masses, should further intensify the people's democratic dictatorship to serve the masses better. Fuck what you think. Kim Jong-il says, fuck what you think. And that brings us to the end of that chapter. So, chapter 3, on holding fast to the fundamental principle of the building of the people's government. The revolutionary cause of Juche for realizing the independence of the masses is a process of deep-going change and great creation to transform humanity, society, and nature, as required by the Juche idea. It is also a long-term undertaking to be conducted for generations to come. This cause can only be promoted successfully and finally consummated only when the broad masses take an active part in it and exert their efforts with complete consistency. And this cause is realized by the people's government, which has the authority and power to organize and command in a unified way the activities of all the members of society. In its character, form, mission, tasks, function, and role, our people's government is the best one for successfully realizing the cause of socialism and communism. We should strengthen the people's government continuously to further develop it and bring it to perfection in accordance with the requirements of socialist and communist societies. in order to develop the people's government into a solid and powerful revolutionary one, which can victoriously consummate the revolutionary cause of Juche, we must hold fast to revolutionary principles in the building of power. Applying the leader's ideas and leadership in a thoroughgoing way is the fundamental principle for the building of the people's government. The people's government is steadfastly defends and carries out the leader's ideas and leadership. All its activities are a process by which the leader's ideas and leadership are put into practice. A government which applies the leader's ideas and leadership consummates the revolutionary cause of its leader through generations. But a government which does not apply them cannot withstand the enemy's slanders and attacks, and will crumble. Looking at you, anti-Stalinist USSR, you fucking clowns. This is a truth confirmed by the history of the building of the working class government. Stalin emotes in class, in chat, please. We should apply the leader's ideas and leadership to the building of government with tenacity, to make the people's government an invincible revolutionary one which consistently and victoriously advances the leader's revolutionary cause, and which inherits and accomplishes this task. In the building of government, a monolithic ideological system should be established thoroughly and its legacy ensured. Ooh, there's the scary word! The monolithic ideological system. Dun, 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 dun. And of course, the reason it sounds so scary is because imperialists themselves try to instill a monolithic bourgeois ideological system amongst us, and it's impossible to do. And so they see this, so they can easily, in a way, people who are fooled by liberalism and stuff are able to then be fooled by this idea that monolithic ideology is bad, right? But what monolithic ideological system really means is that the masses' interests are primary. And that there's nothing else. That's it. And you see, this works because that's what the working class champions, right? The working class, and this is why the working class is the most revolutionary segment of society. The working class is the one that the working class is the one that leads that revolution. However, at the same time, it champions the interests of the broad working masses as a whole. And that is a key thing. And that's why, unlike bourgeois ideology, because it's bad, as Dave so eloquently puts in chat here, because it's bad from the perspective of working class, it can never be accepted by all. However, unlike that, scientific socialism, communism, can be accepted by all, because it champions the interests of the broad masses. And the only interest that it goes against is the parasites. Those who are in favor of exploiting class societies. And we don't want those people to exist anymore. Those are the type of people, that's the transformation we want of humanity to make sure that that type of person is not possible. Not about how much money someone has, right? It's about transforming humanity so that this individualism is overcome. And a new society is built. This means that government is built and run with the leader's ideas as the only guiding principles, and developed steadily on the basis of his ideas. In other words, this means that it has developed into a government which promotes the leader's revolutionary cause of realizing the masses' independence, and it safeguards its character through generations. And now, I want to stop again right here for a second and just point out that, this is not just something that DPRK is learning. And there's a reason why I read you a Grandma News article not that long ago, if you remember, where Cuba was talking about their need to intensify Fidel's education and spread his ideas in a more thoroughgoing way, and to intensify education into Fidel's speeches and ideas and rally the people more closely around that. What we have to understand here, that what Kim Jong-il here is saying, right? This is not it's not so much a prescriptive thing, right? We have to understand this. This is a descriptive thing. This is describing a development of socialism that is beyond the individual whims of some person or another person. And therefore, this is what I constantly am trying to stress to my chat, especially when we're looking at DPRK and the way they talk about leaders and leadership. We have to understand that it's simply a matter of not shying away from what they witnessed with USSR and every other socialist government, and that dialectical relationship between the masses and their leaders. What we see in DPRK is simply a not shying away of that whatsoever. Where Cuba, even during Fidel's time, there was kind of a shying away of that. And now Cuba, as we have seen in Grand Menus with them having to fight against this, imperialist raising vigor in its death throes, they at the same time realized the need to more closely align with Fidel's ideas. And because that is the unifying thing, right? Fidel was the core of that revolutionary movement for a very long time. And everything in Cuba is sort of built upon that legacy. The people who formed that core around Fidel. Just like in Korea, the people who form that core around Kim Il-sung and overthrow Japanese imperialism. And just like in China, the people who form that core around Mao, right? That's why those people are inseparable with those revolutions. Not because they're seen as gods or something, but because they are seen as representative of the masses during that time when they went from being a class exploiting society to a society where the masses have power. But have we considered making insulin in bathtubs is probably okay or some shit? Yeah, let's how about we have revolution instead, Dave? That would be my suggestion. Anyway, I apologize for that little sidetrack. Because we're getting into talking about the leader here again, I just wanted to mention that. Like I seem like I always do, I know. No, don't be sorry, we love you. And your jokes. Building it into the leader's revolutionary government for the masses' independence and preserving its revolutionary character unchanged are fundamental requirements in the whole historical period of the building of a socialist government. In the historical period of the building of the revolutionary government, one generation of the revolution is succeeded by another without interruption, and its revolutionary tasks change. But its revolutionary character as the leader's revolutionary government should never change. And so you might ask here, okay, well, how come then why was de-Stalinization, right? Lenin was the original leader. Why was de-Stalinization then the thing that did it? Well, because Stalin was a genuine student of Lenin, and Stalin perfectly carried forward Lenin's ideas. And Lenin, while he was the leader in the initial period of revolution, he unfortunately also passed very, very early in the building of a socialist society, which is kind of why Stalin ends up being almost more of the character that people rallied behind and represented not just Stalin, but also Lenin's work as well. And Trotsky represented the wrong interpretation of Lenin, to put it in an oversimplified way, if I may. In the building of government, we should always pay primary attention to preserving the revolutionary character of the people's government unchanged, with the leader's revolutionary ideas as the firm guide. The traditions the leader has established in the building of the revolutionary government should be preserved and inherited through generations in their pure form. Like all the other revolutionary causes, the cause of building government develops along a certain law-governed course. And in this course, the idea, theory, and method of building government are created and achievements obtained. The revolutionary traditions of a government are an invaluable treasure and the cornerstone for building and developing it. The revolutionary government maintains its existence by relying on its revolutionary traditions. If the revolutionary traditions of a government are infected by impurities, or if they are obliterated, it will become degenerate and shaken to its roots. We should never tolerate any attempt to tarnish or obliterate the revolutionary traditions of the people's government. We should inherit them in their pure form, so as to ensure that the people's government invariably inherits its character as the leader's government. Party leadership should be intensified in the building of the government. The leader's ideas and leadership are translated into practice through the party's leadership. The working class party is the vanguard and the guide of the revolution, which fights with the mission of materializing the leader's ideas and leadership. Lines, policies. The people's government is an executor of the party's lines and policies. It is only under the party's leadership that the people's government can preserve its revolutionary character, fulfill its function and role, and develop continuously. The existence of the people's government is inconceivable apart from the party. The party's leadership is its lifeline. The realities show that if the working class party's leadership is lacking, the people are deprived not only of their power, but also of their democratic rights and freedom, as well as their happy life. And let me just point out, there's a reason why you cannot vote out a communist party. We should reject categorically all tendencies and attempts to deny or weaken the party's leadership over the government, and establish a thoroughgoing system of party leadership in the people's government. By improving the party's leadership and fighting efficiency and solving all the problems arising in the building of a government and in its activities consistently under the party's leadership, we should develop the people's government into a political weapon for all time, which accomplishes the leader's revolutionary cause. The people's government should be consolidated and developed from a Juche-oriented standpoint. This is a fundamental requirement in the building of the people's government. Humanity, a social being, lives and develops in the unit of a certain social community. A country and its people constitute a social community, which strikes its roots into the depths of the life of the people and integrates them into a solid body with a common destiny. It is therefore natural that the building of the government is conducted with a country and a people as a unit. If people follow flunkyism and dogmatism, instead of holding fast to the Juche-oriented standpoint, they cannot solve the problems arising in the building of a government independently to suit their demands and interests. And, in the long run, the cause of government building is endangered. In order to solve the problems arising in the building of government independently and creatively, it is necessary to hold fast to the Juche-oriented standpoint. Guided invariably by the Juche idea in the building of the people's government, we should accomplish the cause of government building in our own fashion from the firm standpoint of Juche. The people's government should be developed to suit the ever-increasing demand of the masses of the people for independence. With the development of the times and the revolution, the demand for independence of the masses increases steadily. Only when the people's government is developed to suit the ever-increasing demand for independence of the masses can it become a government which serves the people. The struggle to win power is arduous, and the undertaking to develop the power which has been won into a genuine power which serves the people is difficult and complicated. When a government is developed in such a way, it will be loved and supported by the people, or else it will be forsaken by them. A government forsaken by the people will crumble, but a government loved and supported by the people will grow stronger. And that right there, my comrades, is the secret to DPRK's success and the proof that it doesn't just say these things. That's the proof that it doesn't just say these things. It's the proof that it doesn't just prattle on and publish all of these works with no intention of fulfilling them. It shows that it says these things and then adamantly tries its very hardest to fulfill those promises made. The proof is in the way the people react to their government, in the support they give to the government, in the way they move seemingly as one under their government. in the way that they mourn over the loss of their leaders and voluntarily, yes, voluntarily go to their statues and lay flowers at the bottom of the statues. That's not forced. That's not something that you're just supposed to do on a holiday. That's a voluntary thing. Same with all the pins in DPRK you see people wearing of the leaders. That's all voluntary. Nobody is required to wear a pin. Nobody. And in fact, you can wear whatever one you want. It's not like some are more rare. Some are rare in the sense that they might have only been produced for so long a time, but they're not rare in a sense that like it denotes a rank that you're in or something. It's a personal preference. Some people like a pin with just Kim Il Sung. Some like a pin with just Kim Jong Il. Some like a pin with both. Some don't wear a pin at all. But the amount of people that do kind of reflects that this love that they have that is just it's so different than what people in the West are used to that they literally cannot understand it when they look at it. And that's what allows imperialists to then twist it and treat it as like some weird thing that we're supposed to feel weird or uneasy about. When the reality is, it's the opposite. It's something that we should all be striving for. And the world would be a hell of a lot better of a place if we all had such governments. Anyway, to finish off this section, in order for the people's government to develop to suit the ever-increasing demand for independence of the masses, it should map out and carry out its policies in conformity with the aspirations and wishes of the masses on the basis of the elaborated party lines and policies. The people's government's policies define the orientation, contents, and methods for its building and activities. How the government is built and administered, in the long run, devolves on how it maps out and executes its policies. That it maps out its policies in conformity with the will of the masses means that it makes theirs its own organizational will. Although the people's government regards the masses' will as its own, it does not precisely mean that it is built and run to suit their demands and interests. In order for the people's government to be built and managed in substantial conformity with the masses' demands and interests, it should turn its policies into those of the masses themselves, and execute them by drawing on their efforts and wisdom. An important point here is to give the people's government institutional and legal power to map out and execute its policies, and to supervise and regulate their execution, so that it can exercise power in a substantial manner. It should ensure that the people's government steadily improves its work of mapping out policies and executing them in conformity with the masses' will, and thus always serves the people sincerely. In order to build up the people's government to satisfy the ever-increasing masses' demand for independence, the socialist system should be consolidated and brought to perfection, as government building is guaranteed and intensified by the consolidation and development of the socialist system itself. We should steadily develop our own style socialism centered on the masses, thereby making the people's government a genuine revolutionary government which serves the people sincerely, is rooted deep among them, and forms an integral whole with them. And there we go.